Hey, welcome back. So here's my big moral lesson of the story. No matter how many times you think you're playing a solid game, you can still get a rule wrong. And so there's a few feedback points that were made, and so we're going to start off by going over those, and then we'll go ahead and get started with day 17 here. Okay, so the first one was, there was a combat here at this location, and we had, various units. This was one of them. And what I did was I did a 2-hex move, and this unit retreated across the river, and I did a 2-hex move across that river. Okay? So the thing that came up was, hey, you're not allowed to put 2 units across the river. It can only be 1. So that is the river rule. And sorry, I was reading the December 16th rules to make sure I wasn't getting something wrong there. Okay, so this one was confusing to me. I understand that only 1 unit can cross a river at a hex side, but the retreating rule says that you get to, it says units, plural. And it says you can cross the river if it's part of the retreat path. So this one was one that I can make an argument that the rules are a little more ambiguous. However, the situation that I would be taking advantage of to move both units across this river would have required me to do an exception to the norm. The norm is only 1 unit can cross a river at this hex side. So what I did is I reverted this unit. He was sitting here, okay? I reverted him up to here, and I put Piper back on this location. Because here's the other thing. I used Piper to move here and then there, which again, well, I think that violated some other rule. I can't remember what one. But the point is I just reverted them back. Piper was here when I said goodbye in the last video. This Piper unit was there. I moved him back to here for now. I think, I know what it was. Piper is not allowed to go below this squiggly line. See, he's part of the 6th Army. See, the 6th Army ends right here. He is not allowed to move down here or there. So I did move him here. And that was a legal move, by the way. The problem is it violates this. So what I could do instead is move 4 to there and then 2 to there. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay? So he still accomplished the same thing. It's just that he has to stay above the squiggly. Okay? So yes, that was a mistake I made, and that was just a mental boneheaded one. I've explained it to you many times that we can't do that, and but yes, when you play this game, you got to just be ever so vigilant about those things. So since he was not able to cross, I just moved him. I did his 2-hex move and moved him up to here because this will get him into the battle. Okay. Now, there's other ramifications you have to consider when you're going back and reverting things. This guy popped up here, and I concluded that he would still pop up there. So this does not change, thank goodness. Now, he could, because Piper is here, he would have popped up either there or there, and I'm going to say there. So I'm actually going to move him. Now, could I have gone 1, 2, 3, 4... I can't get to this 4 spot, but I can get to these 3s. So this guy is going to move to here because no, he can't. It has to be there because it has to be within 3 spaces of this guy. Okay, so yes, nothing would have changed to his deployment. So I hope you don't mind that. Now, another mistake I made, and this one was one I actually didn't know. And so thank you to whoever clarified it for me. This cavalry unit here, it's an armored car. I don't know. Let's zoom in on this. See how it's an armored car? The tanks actually have an armored symbol above them. See that little oval symbol there? That's the armored symbol. This is a recon unit. It is not a an armored car. And so I drew a chit that said, you know, attacker has armor, defender has armor, and I threw it out because I thought we both had armor. That's not the case. So this guy actually took a hit. Now, granted, remember, this guy, actually, he would have been there because this battle happened first. So his retreat would have caused him to take a step loss, and he would have gone to here, like so. So he would have retreated one space and taken a step loss. Now, that means I actually get to move in and do some stuff. So who am I going to move in with is the question. And I think I'm going to move these guys because they're armor and they're not on a road, and I want to get them onto a road. These guys I would like to get onto a road as well, but basically I don't get to move that much, but I get to do that a little. Okay, so I'm not done. There's still a few more things. The next thing is this idea of a retreat path. Okay, so if a unit retreats 2 spaces, you get to follow it during those 2 spaces, during your 2 hex move, and you can ignore enemy zone of control. So there's like, you know, usually you can't move from one zone of control to another, but the one exception in the game is when you're following a retreating unit. Now, if a unit retreats and then is eliminated, it still had a retreat path. So you can do that. But if a unit is eliminated without retreating, then you don't get to benefit from any retreat path rules. So that was the clarification that folks have been trying to explain to me, and I wasn't getting. And I finally took the time to look up John Butterfield's comment. And it seems like a really obscure situation, but apparently I've hit it a couple times in my last campaign without realizing it. And it's yet another thing you have to mentally keep track of. And so it can be brutal to have to keep track of all this stuff. Okay, next item. The next item is this unit right here, this blue one. Okay, if you remember how he got there, he did a movement that came from here and here, I believe. So we moved to here, and then we moved to there, and then we moved over. Okay, so there was a roadblock somewhere. Where was it? It was right here on this 3, I believe. So when we moved to here, we were supposed to stop because there was a roadblock there. However, I did look in the rules, and the answer is no. I can keep moving because this roadblock only stops you if you have a road that goes directly into the tile with the roadblock. So whether it was here or there, I did not have to stop. I was able to keep moving, and so this was a legal move. I think, so I disagree with the comment that I had to stop. So that was a legal move. I was able to surround this tank and eliminate him. So I'm not going to make a change there. I was really nervous because if I did have to stop, then that meant that this tank didn't take damage whenever he retreated, and then I'd have to go look up how many hits he took. And then this roadblock would likely not be there either because this roadblock was there because this unit was here. So if this unit was way over here, that roadblock would not have happened. So lots of chain reactions happen when you make a mistake and have to go back and try to fix it. The other thing is this guy. I put him back. We had him destroyed. But I put him back because when I counted my chits, I counted 1 and then 2 for elite, and then I counted 3. However, a bracketed unit does not give you a combat chit. So I was only supposed to draw 2. And so the first 2 chits did not hit, the third one did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this unit back where he was, and then put him back where he was. He did not retreat, and we did not get a chance to move in. So that's the situation with that one. Okay, all in all, if you were to play your first game and you made these kind of mistakes, I would tell you you did a fantastic job. These are the kind of things you just always have to be wary and vigilant about. And one of the things I'm finding fascinating about doing this series is if I was playing this at home, first of all, I would not know I made the mistakes. And then I'd be getting on Board Game Geek and saying, hey, this game's too easy, or whatever it is that I'm doing wrong, right? Because I went across the bridge without thinking that I can only go one unit at a time. You know, if you forget the bridge rule on December 16th, you can just say, hey, this game's too easy. And then argue with people when they tell you you're doing something wrong. So the good news is when you're recording yourself, you have to keep it honest. And anyways, I think that covers all of the adjustments we had to make. All right, so what's the first thing we do on December 17th? First thing is always the reserve step. So we grab all the reserve units, and they come down, and you can see the 12th didn't deploy, and so there's going to be a couple more 12th units, and then another German unit down here. Okay, the next thing we do is we look at our calendar, which is in the rule book. I'm looking around for my rule book. Okay, I picked it up and moved it to the other room. 1 second. Okay, so the FAR is 3. Remember, that's the fixed artillery range. Our supplemental cards is 7, and the command level is now 4. It was 10 and then 5 in the last one, so it's already getting lower and lower. And the big thing you always want to look for is this red text, because those are the rules you have to be mindful of. And what this is saying, there's no new rules being implemented this day. So that's good. That's a good news thing. And after we did the reserves, we're going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. And it's listed here, 1 primary, 3 supplemental. And remember the allied cards have primary too, because I think when you're playing the solo game, or even the 2-player game, these are the cards you use. So it's quite brilliant that the AI and the players all use the same cards. Not even Space Corp did that. Okay, so I'm just shuffling those cards. And then these ones I'm not going to touch because we didn't use them. So they were already shuffled. So we're going to just leave those be. And then we come back over here to the Germans. And remember, the primary cards come in. And then, like the rules said, we're going to draw 7 from the supplemental deck. Do not take these supplemental discards and put them in yet. That's the biggest mistake you could make. All right, so now I drew 7 cards. And what's really funny is I remember making a comment that there was only 1 card left, and now there's 2. So I must have made a mistake last time. Let me just check one more time. Yeah, it's 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I just drew 7 cards. And I'm just going to check real quick. Make sure none of those are primary. They aren't. And then these supplemental cards that you discarded the last turn, they now go into the deck. So we can do that. And then you take this and you shuffle this. And that's going to make our combat deck for this day. All right, so it's not about what new rules went into effect on December 17th. It's more about what rules stopped being in effect. We can now go over the bridges. No more traffic jams. But if there is no bridge, you're still limited to 1 unit per hex side crossing any river. So Be mindful there. What else is changing? I'm looking. The Allies are going to be able to deploy more than one unit now. They are still restricted to Method A only, so that's one thing we're going to have to deal with. We still don't have to check supply for German units. Allied mechanized units can move more than one hex. Engineers, they do blow bridges. And let me tell you something. This is a rule that I forget all the time. So the idea is if you ever move next to a bridge, you have to do a check to see if the bridge gets blown up. You roll a die, and if you roll a 1 or a 2, it blows up. So it's actually a really low odds check, considering it's a 10-sided die. But you still have to do it, and I forget it so many times. All right, so our draw pile is done. I shuffled, I drew my cards, and we do have to do the phases in order. So we're not doing our commands yet, but I'll show you these cards in a second. So just looking at the back of the rule book, we just did card prep, and so you can see there, turn 17, the supply phase is going to kick in. So the Allies could be out of supply. I don't think there's any that are at risk right now, but I can take you through that. And we did go through that with the first playthrough that I had to quit on, or at least I think we did. And then we can play a Bridge Engineers command event if we want. So this would be outside of our turn, but you don't get to draw a card back. So, but it doesn't count towards the command level. That's the reason why you may want to do it. And then we have to determine the supply status of everybody and remove any roadblock markers that are no longer in German. So if you can somehow surround a roadblock marker and get rid of its communication, you can actually make it go away without ever having to put a unit there. And there's this out of fuel check that's coming later. Okay, so every unit on the board gets to count 4 spaces through no enemy zone of control. So if there's enemy zone of control, you can't go through it. So like this guy here could easily just count 1 space here, and then he's on a road that goes to a safe edge. He can go 2 spaces this way. So I mean, there's no worry here. The one unit that was going to be out of fuel was the one that was here. Because when we were in this situation and he was in between, he was not able to get any fuel checks, because no matter which way he went, he was going to run into a zone of control issue. And so he would have actually been low in fuel. But everybody else, including this one, even though we have him essentially flanked, even though he's in a town here, he easily just goes right out this road here. This road just takes him wherever he needs to go. So we don't have that town surrounded. That's the big thing. And it would be nice to surround it. It's going to be interesting because I think I would have to move this unit 4 movement points here and then 2 more movement points there. And you can see this guy only has 5 movement points, so it's not going to happen. Now, if there were any Allied units that were still stuck over here, with the fact that I took all the bridges, see how all these bridges are green? That means they're German controlled. There is no Allied supply across those bridges, and I accidentally took the control marker with me there. But Allied supply can't go across any of these bridges. So that is a huge thing if any of those units had stayed back here. But we did a good job of beating them back, except for up north there, but there's no river to contend with. So long story short, there's no supply issues on either side. So let's just go ahead and get started with the game. I know 19 minutes in and we're finally, but we were doing the steps here. Okay, so we got this particular core, which actually has been doing quite well for us. And he is prepared to do some more attack. In fact, I got a great idea with this one. So this is really high on my list of doing. Oh, we get a chance to do an engineer card if we wanted. I don't have any engineer events. This one could be the engineer, but this is like the best card in the game. And the last thing I want to do is spend this for an engineer event. Trust me, I do not want to play this card for that. But this is the best card in the game, and we may want to consider playing it. But if I can play a 2 command card, because remember the limit's 4, and then I can maybe do this one next, right? So the other thing I want to look at is possible, like this is obviously an awesome group. We want to activate them. This one is our orange guys. We may or may not want to activate them. This is not the best in the world, but it's not the worst either. Same with this one. This one is giving us artillery. So like the one we would really want is assault coordination or reinforced battle, and you can see we don't have any of those. And actually I'm looking at my hand here. I only have 5 cards. Oh no, there's 6. Okay. Oh, well, he has the reinforced battle. So that's a really tough choice. Do we activate them or do we do... So one thing I may do is I may implement this as a camp group and then do reinforced battle from this. And let me show you what's going through my mind. I want to take this tank out. This is 2 victory points. This unit here, you can see, does not have a bracket, so he still exhibits control. And if he were to move, this is only 1 space for him, and then this is only 1 more space for him. So he can move 2 spaces to here, and then he has zone of control here, while this unit has zone of control there, and we'd have this guy completely surrounded. And that is awesome sauce, because if he ever retreats, he takes a damage for retreating, and that's what we would want. So, so the idea is should we activate the blue guys? Well, my thoughts are I want to activate as many units as I can. And so if I put a camp group in, like let's say right here, then this is going to activate, that's going to activate, this one, and even these guys down here, and we didn't even have a plan for them. So that's the thoughts going through my head, is that a camp group would be really nice to get those activated. Now what I could do is move the camp group down to here. It would still activate, it would not activate this guy anymore, but it would at least activate this one so we can get him moving in a way. My thoughts are is I have a reinforced battle card. So I can have him join the battle through a reinforced battle. But I sort of like the camp group idea of this, and then I can use reinforced battle to bring these orange units out. I don't have to spend it then on somebody who's already next to it. I can bring these guys out. And remember, this bridge is ours, and we can now move both units across the bridge. So we can add some more strength to the battle. And I really like that idea. Now, the thing is, we don't have to do it right now because that's going to cost us 5 command points. So let's do something else that's going to cost us, let's say, only 3 command points. And we'll be 1 shy of the 4 that we need for the battle, or for the impulse, and then we'll play the 5 command points then. So that way we can sneak in 2 actions here. Now, this one is an interesting one. It's Eisenhower Hesitates. It is only for December 17th, which right now is December 17th. So let's look that up. I actually don't remember what it is. I remember not being super impressed with it. That's the one thing that I remember. But let's see what it is. Okay. Eisenhower Hesitates. Delay all units of the 82nd and 101st Airborne by 1 day. Move the units to December. Actually, that's not as bad as I thought. I remember the 101st Airborne. They ended up plopping in a bazillion places down here, and they were a pain in the ass. Because on December 18th, they start doing deployment method B, I believe. I can check that real quick. But Deployment method B means that they're going to come out even if you're not German proximate. Yes, that's the case. And so the 101st Airborne ended up just popping up everywhere down here. And these victory point hexes were really hard to take because of them. So let's do that. It is, this is just the orange core. And we already said we're not going to activate the orange core because we're going to activate them through the Army Group B. So we're going to do Eisenhower hesitates, okay? So this is a special command. And just to recheck it again, all units of the 82nd and 101st Airborne by 1 day. Delay all units of the 82nd or the 101st Airborne. It's my choice. Okay, it's an or. Okay, so let's go see what we got here on the 18th. So here's the 101st. You can see there's a whole bunch. These are the 82nd. Nope, that's the 30th. See, that's why you have to sort these out. 82nd, 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 and then the 30th, and then 101st, and then the 10th Armor. Okay, so it's basically 4 units and 4 units. So they're the same number of units, but let's just show you. Like I said, the 101st is going to pop up down here. The 82nd is going to pop up near here. So probably in this area here. So we get to delay one of them. Chances are really high that if I don't delay them, they're coming out. So, so what's the smart move here? I think the smart move is we've busted through here, and so I want to keep this clear. We did not bust through up there, so let them come, right? And so I'm going to delay the 101st Airborne, and we'll just move them all over to December 19th. And then everybody else stays. So that wasn't a bad command. I actually like that one. Now we have spent 2 of our command points. We only have 2 more to spend. And now we're going to do this one. Army Group B, Model. Yes, we had to use the deep voice. Model. Army Group B. All right, so let's go. So I'm going to do the camp group right there. And then I'm going to do reinforced battle on these orange guys right here. And so they're both, oh, look, that's a 4 pipper. Hold on. That guy has 4 pips. So remember, we have a pip limit, so I can't move them both here. Okay. I can, see, this would cost me 5 movement points to just move this here. So that's not going to work. I was trying to see if I can move somebody out of the way. Can't do that either. Oh, this is not as nice as elegant as I was hoping it would be. Those extra pips are awesome, but it means, okay. Let's look up reinforced battle here. Select 1 unit or inactive stack that did not move or attack in the current activation that could reach the combat in a single movement action to participate in a combat. If it's defending, it has to move into the hex it's defending. If attacking, the unit/stack moves adjacent to the hex under attack. All right. So when you see the word unit/stack, that means they have to move together. I can't, what I was looking to see if I could split them up, like move this guy to here and then move that one to there. I have to move them together, and that's the problem. If I do reinforced battle with them, there's no room for them. There's nowhere for them to go. No room at the inn. Now, I can like go over other units and temporarily create a stacking issue, but for example, I can go here for 1 movement point, but that's 4. So this tank can't reach the battle. This one, however, can. He can go 1, and then the woods is, or the forest is 2 for 3. Yep, he can't either. Never mind. So the only option is I would have to get this tank out of the way, which I could do. I could just move him away from the battle, and that'll allow, so I'm exchanging 1 guy for 2. Or I can just activate this guy back here, and then he would just move in, and he's got 3 pips on him, so he'll at least add some nice strength. So that'd be 7 strength, whereas this one is also 7 strength. So it's not like that would give me any bonus there. The other thing to bear in mind is I'm going to get this guy surrounded pretty well. There's a lot going on here that I can do. So let's look at this. If I leave this unit alone, he no longer has area of control, but I'm not sure that matters. What I can do with these guys is we can move 1, 2 like this and initiate an attack here. Because he's just activating who's around him. We can leave his activation zone. So then we can initiate attack here, and then I can do reinforced battle to get these guys to join the battle to kill this. I don't know if this is overkill or not. This guy only has 2 strength. This would be a 5. This would only be a 2-to-1 battle. This would make the battle worthwhile. Being in a forest, he cancels a lot of hits when he's in a forest. So you got to be mindful of that. The other thing I can do is, like, for example, I have 2 more tanks here. This costs 2 movement points. Excuse me. Yeah, I can't do that. I can try to move up to take this thing on. I'm just really concerned that that roadblock is going to be something. Well, I think what I want to do is stick with my plan of moving this guy here. I have to be careful because, well, if we control the bridge, they can't, their communication and supply paths can't go through the bridge. So we don't have to worry about that per se. So, it's just that there's these wonky situations where they could theoretically pop a roadblock or a unit behind enemy lines. It's just that usually the surround rule prevents that. Okay, so what my thoughts are is I could take this tank and go 1, 2 and have him surrounded. But the issue is I don't like separating the tank from the rest of his core. So what I'll do is I'm going to do 1, 2 with this guy and do a situation like that. I really would like to go up and park a tank here to get pressure on this roadblock. I'm just not sure that now is the time to do it. These are just 2 units on that one. Excuse me. So what I'll do is I'll move this guy back to here. So now we have the strength needed to take this on, and we don't have to get these guys to join the battle. Then the reinforced battle will be this guy moving from the rear and joining us like so. Yes, I am taking that armor very seriously. He has 4 strength. That's an extremely high number of strength. He's in a town, so he's automatically going to cancel a hit. So we gotta punch him hard. And because of the Model card, the Piper unit's going to get sucked in as well, because Model is the Grand Army Group. It's not just the 5th Panzer, it's all of them, all 3 of them. So that's the reason why this card is so awesome. So we're going to get Piper in. We're going to get ourselves a good, nice little party here. So Now, the thing with getting Piper in is it means I can't activate the yellow. I mean, I can activate the yellow core next impulse, but then Piper won't be able to participate because he's already activated the time before. So I have to be really careful. I'm not even sure if I can activate the yellow core. I've just never tried that situation. So anyways, back to this. Yeah, let's try to do this battle first. It's a 1 chit minimum with a 1, 2 for being elite. Don't do this one because he's bracketed. And then 3. So we're drawing 3 chits. That might not be enough. But let's find out. All right. Let's just hope there's some good ones. We only need 1 hit on this guy. Oh, we're only drawing 1. And right there, woods, broken. He's in forest. Look at that. He cancels 2 hits. Jesus. I can only draw 2 more. We're a 9-2, so that's 4-1 odds. The only tiles I know that do 2 damage is if it's 8-1 odds. So I'm breaking off the attack. There's nothing I can do. He's canceling 2 hits because he's in a forest. That's what I was trying to say. When last game, whenever I thought he was retreating, because our 3rd chit did a hit to him, I was really excited that we kicked him out of a forest. And I had to move him back because I made that mistake. And look at how this mistake is costing me now. So anyways, crap. Just a total crap. All right, so let's do the other one. It's a minimum of 2 for the other one. And here we are going to have fireworks. 1, 2, 3, 4 for being elite, 5 for being 3 pips. 6, 7, 8 for having 3 pips. 9, and 10. Remember, multiple elites don't get counted more than once, but the 3 pips or more does. So we have 10. Oh, let me back up. This unit gets to draw a card. So it would have been engineers. Oh my gosh. So here's what engineers would have done for him. Not only did we not hit him, but he ended up getting an improved position. Oh, and you know what? He doesn't exert zone of control, so I can be a little smarter about how I moved. These guys would have gone here. Absolutely, they would have gone there. All 3 of them would have, in fact. So we're going to surround this guy. That's the point I'm making. I did not move these guys, I don't think. But these ones came from here. So we can go 1, 2, 3. He has no zone of control, so we could just barrel right past him. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, by moving here, I did trigger something. You remember? I triggered this. So we got to do a roadblock check. And I rolled a 9, so nothing happens. Okay. So at some point, I want to get these guys coming forward and at least 1 unit to park here. And in doing so, this guy is going to be completely surrounded, and then his days are going to be miserable. Okay. All right, so back to this other battle. We have to draw a card for him, and that is not his core, which is, thank goodness. So what would have happened if we do draw his core? I know it hasn't happened yet, and you might be wondering. He gets a reserve unit from the reserve pool added to his space because he was a undetected unit that we didn't know was there. So that's quite awful. And then this is an even more awesome card. He gets air power, but only on December 19th. So there's nothing good happens for him. So that's exactly what we're looking for here. All right, so we draw 2 minimum. This guy is an armor, by the way. All right, are we doing a large attack? You bet your mama we will. So that'll be a hit. And then if we can do greater than 9-to-1 odds, oh my gosh, this battle would be over in 2 chits. That's the, okay. He has 4. So 9 times 4 is 36. We need to have 36 to get greater than 9-to-1. Let's see. 2, 4, 10, 14, 17, 21, 24. Not quite. That's the thing with 4. But 4 times 6 is 24, so these are 6-to-1 odds. So let's see what... We have greater than 5-to-1, so we just did 2 hits to this guy. Okay, 2 hits is going to force him to retreat, and that'll make him take 1 damage. And then the next one would force him to retreat again, because after he takes 1 damage, he's down to 1 pip, and so this is 1 hit equals 1 pip. So he would retreat a second time, and he'd get away. So we have an opportunity here. Well, actually, no. He's in a town, so one of these is just canceled. We got to keep drawing. So, and in fact, I got to take it back. We have to draw at least 7, or otherwise this one doesn't work. So we can draw up to 10. We've drawn 2. Should I draw 5 more? And my answer is yes. I'm going to do 5 more. And let's see what hits we go. We're not going to go up to 10. We're just going to do 5. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Is it a large attack or December 16th attack? It is large because we just made it 7. But you got to look at the priority side. That's Allied air power. So that would be another hit for the good guys. Forest, woods, or broken. It is... Oh, crap. It's broken. So he's canceling a hit. Greater than 2-to-1. Yes. Greater than 4-to-1. Yes. Is it a flank attack? No. He's in a town. Flank attacks don't work when they're in towns, and I'll forget that 20 more times, but I remembered this one time, so I want credit for it. Is it greater than 7-to-1? No, we were at 6-to-1, so that goes away. All right, so this guy canceled this, and then the town cancels this. The good news is we still did 2, 3, 4 damage, and he's a 2-step unit, so even if he retreated twice and took no damage, he would take 2 damage from this. So he's eliminated. And he'll be eliminated in 3 hits, by the way, not just 4, because we have him surrounded. So we just got rid of another tank, which is a really good victory to get rid of these tanks. So that guy's gone. However, we now got to take 2 hits ourselves. So let's figure that out. And we can allocate them however we like. It's just that whatever stack we allocate the first one to, the second one has to be someone else. So I could allocate a second hit to this guy. In fact, I might, because that's a very attractive option. In fact, he's the only attractive option out of the list. So a second hit on this guy means I have to go get a token from over here. So what we do is we put this guy over here, and then there's a, you can see there's a 2-pip version of him. He has a lot of pips, this guy. Okay, so then I can apply a second hit to somebody, or I can just disrupt everybody. If I disrupt everybody, I can't go in and take the 2 victory points. Trust me, the taking of the 2 victory points is not the end of the world. It does mean the Piper unit is not going to be able to do anything for us when yellow activates, and that could be a problem because Piper is pretty powerful. But who would I hit? You know what? This tank's not very tough. He only has 2 strength. We'll reduce him to 1, and now we get to do magic. So we get to take the hex and then do a 2-hex movement. So I will take the hex with this guy. And with this one. So they will both move in. And then these guys, this one will do a 2-hex movement. And be mindful, we can go all the way up to this squiggly way up here. This guy cannot do advance after combat because that would go outside of his range, so he has to stay. So what I would do is I'm just going to do a 2 hex movement to there. And then these two will do a 2 hex movement to there. So just get to the other side. And we just took a city and got 2 victory points. I like what's happening there. We are leaving a bit of a gap here. So these are all in Allied supply right now. So Allied reinforcements can start popping in these places. They likely won't because they're in danger of being surrounded. But I'm just warning everybody that by doing this, I actually have to do roadblock checks again if I ever were to go near these spots. So in fact, I got to do a roadblock check right here. So let's do that one. I rolled a 1, so roadblock check right there. Okay. Now, could there have been another roadblock here? So when I was doing this move across, would I have had to do a roadblock check on this? That's a good question. Can a roadblock be next to another roadblock? My answer is yes. So let's do a roadblock check there that I was supposed to do. And thank God I passed that one because that would have caused me to have to redo everything. Okay, so this one backfired on us and that one was a resounding success. This is just like the last campaign. I mean, this guy just stays there forever. And then he eventually just healed himself in the last campaign. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so it's the end of our impulse. We have 3 cards, so we're gonna draw 3 more for our hand. And we got a nice one for the purple division, but remember they activated this round, so we may have to wait. And we got the Vonderheit. So that's a good one. You probably saw that in the first one. And somebody gave me some really great advice on where to plop that Vonderheit. And we might just do it. So let's do their turn first. It's a no command, engineers. So the engineers are going to basically pop one of these roadblocks. Which one is the question? A VP hex or an allied supply with an if there's more than one, replace the marker in the highest HV. So it's definitely going to be this guy. All right, so how do we replace it? With an allied reserve unit per 15.4. So 15.4, I think, is the deployment method. I'm pretty sure that's what, no? All right, so I gotta go look up 15.4. Yeah, the player aid just says deploy per 15.4. So we gotta look up 15.4. I know you're just watching my paint dry. I will get to you in a second. So here we go. If a roadblock reserve check calls for replacing a roadblock, place a reserve unit in a position from the same army as the allied unit nearest to the position and remove the roadblock marker. If possible, take a unit in the same division as the on-map allied unit closest to the roadblock. If none, then same corps as the closest. If a choice remains, take the lowest numbered unit. Okay. If no reserve units or out-of-contact units are available when the roadblock is called for, it's just eliminated. Okay, so the closest unit, allied unit to here is actually a very good question. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's gonna be the 1st Division, 5th Corps. And I can tell you, they have a 1st Division 5th Corps. This guy right here. So he just did his salute, and he's going to arrive on the map right there. So that's how that card played out. I'm actually not too bothered by that. That's not a bad thing. It is an elite unit, and having an elite unit in a VP city like that sucks, but that's actually quite good. So, all right, it is our turn again. So we have cards for this group and for our yellow group, which is probably our 2 biggest punches, right? However, we had units that activated in both, so we don't want to activate either of them this impulse. So we're going to have to do something else. Well, one of them for sure is we're going to do Vonderheit. That'll cost 2 points. And then these guys activated, or they did a reinforced battle last time, so they did not activate, okay? So we can activate them in addition to the fact that they did the reinforced battle, okay? So that's something, that's an option. So let's just set that as the option here. I'm not interested in these guys at the moment. I just don't find them to be very powerful right now. And then of course those 2 we can't do. And this one is another division from the Purple Corps, but this is our coveted assault coordination, which we love. So I think we're going to hold this to use that as our command for something else. Now what's funny is the assault coordination actually would work with this particular corps. If we were to play this card, here, let me show you. This guy could try to attack him and then use this as an assault coordination, so we get 2 guys. But just understand that this is a 5 to 3 attack, because these guys get cut in half because they're attacking across the river. So that's basically 1-to-1 odds, awful odds. It's just not a good move at all. So I think what I'm gonna do is we're gonna first do Vonderheit. We'll do that, and then we're gonna do this. Okay? So Vonderheit first. We need to place him above the 800 line. I've done this enough times, I actually remember it. Has to be above the 800 line, so north of this. So basically north of this squiggly. Okay, he has a bracket on him, so he's not going to exert zone of control. But he will cut off supply on whatever road he's on. He cannot land on a forest or a town. And I ran out of memory banks, so I got to look up the rest of it. It has to be unoccupied within 8 hexes of a west wall hex. And he can't be adjacent to any unit. So for example, where he is now, this is not possible. Neither is that, although that would have been a fantastic spot. This would have been a fantastic spot. So the best spot for him is there. And we talked about this during the last playthrough before I realized I had to start over. And the idea is these guys can count 1, 2, 3, right? And get to supply. And I can't do anything about him, but this guy here is counting 1, 2, 3. And see, he can't go through him. So, and then he could go to 4 and then get supply that way. But it is possible that we're going to cut off their supply. Possible, yes. I'm not saying it's probable. Okay, we have to roll a die, though, and see what his status is. And I rolled a 3, which is good. That means he's only low supply. The lower the number, the better in this situation. And he won't actually start losing supply until December 19th. So we do have a few days to get to him. Now, what's his purpose? I guess someone explained to me historically these were paratroopers that were disrupting supply. And they more or less were successful at that role. And then our job is we have to rescue them because they're going to eventually run out of supply and get isolated and whatnot. And if we do rescue them, we score 1 victory point. They're not going to serve any other purpose. They don't exert zone of control. They're not going to be able to move or attack or do anything like that. But it's an opportunity to get a victory point, so why not, right? Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to activate these guys. And we have 1 here, and then we have 2 over here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to execute some move actions here. This guy can move 3, this guy can move 5, and since this one's injured, I'm going to leave him in the town because we're going to hold a VP hex with him. And then we're going to go 1, 2. This one can stay there for 3. Put him here for 3. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go here for 5. Now, I have to do a roadblock check here. Okay, thank goodness, or otherwise that would have screwed up the movement. But yeah, I'm going to start challenging this. And I know he's just a piddly 2, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to start challenging it. And yeah, by activating it, we were able to get him across the river and start taking some terrain. And now, you know, we don't have to do roadblock checks anymore here. This is an excellent spot to hold from a fuel perspective. Anyways, that ends our impulse, though. This impulse needed to be a little late because we're waiting for the opportunity to activate these guys again and the yellow guys. So the next impulse is going to be our uppercut and jab. All right, so we have 4 cards in our hand. We're going to draw 2 more. And the 2 we drew is the 7th Army and the, what is that, 67th Corps. Which is, who is that? Oh, that's the red units way up north. Okay. And then the 7th Army card is actually pretty sweet as well. We might be able to do something, I don't know. Still thinking about that. And I am going to stop here and I'll see you in a few seconds. Thanks for watching.